Hey, it's me, C, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are going to talk about something that I know a lot of us have dealt with, I've dealt with, and that topic is imposter syndrome. Now, this is something that I've definitely dealt with for years, especially like in my high school, early college years, but I didn't actually know the name of it. I didn't know it was a real thing. I just thought it was just me. And come to find out, that's what imposter syndrome is all about. But if you don't know the actual definition of it, I made sure I went ahead and wrote it down just because I didn't want to misquote anything, whatever. So when I looked up the actual definition of imposter syndrome, it is a psychological pattern in which one doubts their accomplishments. Imposter syndrome can be linked to other feelings of self-doubt, like fear of success, fear of failure, or self-sabotage. You know, there are definitely levels of imposter syndrome, but all in all, it is truly about self-doubt, having low self-esteem, maybe not in all the areas of your life, but particular areas. For me, I've always struggled with it in the more professional or academic or any career-driven thing that I was doing. I always suffered with it. Not suffered, but I've always battled with it internally in those sorts of areas. Like with imposter syndrome, you can feel like you don't belong or you're not worthy of where you made it to, where you're at in life in the moment. You can feel like you're just another number, you're not special. There's plenty of people who do what you do or are just as smart as you and things like that. And now I've looked it up because I'm someone, like I said, I've always dealt with a lot of self-doubt, just based off of a couple things. We'll get into that later. But I looked it up and I did some research on it a couple years ago, and I'm like, okay, is this linked to anxiety? Is this linked to depression? And honestly, it's not. It's just really has to do with your self-esteem. I think that there are several reasons why people go through imposter syndrome, and a lot of times it really just is a phase or just like a momentary thing. It's not something that I've struggled with like on a long course of time, but that might not be true for everybody. So if this is something you deal with, make sure you comment down below and let me know. So why do most people suffer with imposter syndrome? Personally, I think it's two main reasons. The first thing for me, I feel like there's something embedded in your mind that you've either gone through, some sort of traumatic thing that you've gone through or experienced in your past to make you feel like you weren't worthy of something, or that you couldn't compete, if you will, or that you just weren't as good as the others around you for whatever reason. I feel like in our childhood, we're traumatized and heavily affected by things that happen to us in our childhood. And once we become an adult, a lot of times we don't even realize where these feelings, thoughts, and emotions and things are coming from. But it has to come to a point where you do the self-work and the self-reflection and figure out why you have these feelings. Because every feeling or emotion that you have is evoked by something that you've either experienced or witnessed at some point in your life. You know what I mean? So now that we're adults and we're growing and we're glowing, we have to unpack and unlearn a lot of different things. And it's not easy, but it's definitely important for you to do in order to just, move forward with your life and just genuinely love yourself and genuinely be happy. So that is reason number one why I feel like, a lot of people, including myself, have dealt with imposter syndrome or have struggled with it. Another thing is, now in the age of social media, it's really easy to, compare yourself to people you see on social media, whether it be their family, their relationship, their careers, different things like that. For me, when, like when I first started getting into doing content creation and stuff like that, it was harder because it was like, oh, well, this person has this many followers, but I know I can produce good content, but maybe I can't because the numbers and like all these different things. Like it got to a point where it's just like, honestly, I don't even care. I'm just going to do what I enjoy to do, and whatever comes from it comes from it. And I've actually have been able to, not only produce good content, but be recognized on some sorts of levels with brands and companies and just other people. So that's pretty good. You definitely don't want to set your self-worth or value based on numbers and recognition, because just as many applause you're going to get, there's going to be a lot of boos as well, whether they're public boos or behind closed doors boos, if you know what I mean. So don't focus so much on that. It's not going to help you at all. And I think that a lot of times, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with, for me, I don't compare myself to people, but I will see somebody on social media and say like, oh, I like how they do X, Y, and Z, and it'll more so inspire me. Like I can honestly say I've never felt jealous or envious of somebody based on, things of that nature. Just I've never felt jealous or envious of somebody because of where they've gotten in their life, just because you don't know what it took for them to get there. So like their journey is not going to be your journey is not going to be their journey, but you can take what they have done with their career or their life or whatever the case may be and use that to inspire you or even generate ideas of what you can do, to set yourself apart and just different things like that. And how I've dealt with my imposter syndrome and just having a lot of self-doubt and fears of failure. That is honestly my biggest thing. Fear of failure has stopped me from doing so many different things. Like I don't even want to talk about it. But things that have helped me is, actually talking about it, verbalizing how I feel, why I feel the way that I feel, and, just having that open dialogue and conversations. A lot of times we can have thoughts in our heads, but once we actually speak it and talk to someone about it, even if the person doesn't have like a great grandiose response, when you're getting it out, it definitely does help. I can say that. I also like to get feedback from my mom, close friends, fiance, and just ask them like, oh, what did you think about this? Or what did you think that I could do better? Or what, just hearing different things or opinions about how other people perceive my work or just different things that I'm doing. Because honestly, when you're a content creator, you want what's in your mind to be perceived well to your audience. So asking those people around you, and I'm not saying like, don't ask someone who's just going to be like a yes man, like, oh yeah, like that's nice or whatever. Like sometimes you have to know what certain topics who you should go to for proper responses and stuff like that. And although I did say people's validations shouldn't necessarily matter, in certain situations, feedback does help with imposter syndrome because it's a fear of self-doubt or a fear that you're not to where you should be, or you can't compete, you can't compare, all these different things. But sometimes it is nice to hear like, oh no, like you're dope, or oh no, this, like, we all need that little reassurance, a little boost or whatever the case may be. Hello. But you can't, base everything around that. And honestly, doing affirmations have definitely helped me, reading affirmations, journaling, praying, meditating, all of those things have definitely helped me to just zen and become one with myself. I've been a confident person most of my life in most areas, but in certain areas I haven't been, like I said before. But a lot of people think that I'm like super confident when it comes to, creating content or just doing YouTube or doing makeup and just different stuff like that. It's like I'm not always confident, but you kind of have to like psych yourself out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A part of my imposter syndrome, it definitely held me back from a lot of things, like not taking certain opportunities that I should have, just out of fear of not being good enough in the moment or performing well enough, or just people not liking it, if you will. I've done work for free that I should have charged for. I've definitely not charged what I know I'm worth for that reason too. And honestly, just not putting myself out there as much as I should. But I've definitely stopped that. I told myself I will no longer do work for free. I'm going to charge what I am worth. And if they don't want to pay that, then that's fine. I'm not going to lowball myself when it comes to different things, because I do a lot of different things, like a lot of different things. And some stuff I don't promote, which is changing, but a lot of stuff I don't promote. And it's kind of like, oh, well, just kind of being a little meek about it, just being like shy about it. But now it's just kind of like, one thing for sure that the whole pandemic and everything has taught me is that, like, honestly, if there's something that I want to do, I can definitely do it. Like, not even to, juice myself up, but I know that if I really put my mind to something, I can do it. Even just talking about that made me feel so much better, just because you guys understand this is something that I've struggled with for a very long time at different phases of my life, whether it be high school, college, or even, my adult career and different things like that. So to be able to actually openly talk about it is kind of like, okay, like I'm getting somewhere. I'm doing the work on myself to the point where I can actually verbalize and talk about it, like in an open space. Like, I don't know if you guys are going through this or who it might help. So hopefully you know that the feelings that you feel or the thoughts that you have in your head, you're not alone. I think majority people have, dealt with imposter syndrome at some point in their life, and it's really normal. Just start talking about it, because you just never know. But reminding myself that I am talented, I am creative, I deserve all of the things that I have, I'm smart, I'm funny, just all of these things that you like about yourself. It's important to feed that back into yourself. I hope this conversation was helpful to you. Make sure you comment down below and let me know if you've dealt with imposter syndrome, how you feel about it, what you do to get over, to get your mind back right, or just anything. I love talking to you guys in the comments. So just make sure you comment down below you like this video. And if you are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and turn that post notification bell on so you don't miss any uploads. Hello, we upload twice a week on this channel and once a week on Catch the Beat. If you're into beauty and makeup, make sure you subscribe to that as well. We are actually doing a giveaway, so go ahead and check that out and see how you can win over $600 of makeup. Yes, $600. $600. That is going until the end of June. So you better get in where you fit in, baby. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.